Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel A to Z Automation in Java. I hope you all liked our previous video, and if you didn't watch it yet, link is shared in the description below. Please have a look at that video once. So in the previous class we had discussed about basic topics which we are going to cover in the Java in order to proceed further for the automations. And in that previous video we have discussed that how to set up Java and Eclipse in our system. Okay, let's proceed further and start our first topic in the queue. So the first topic is class. What is a class in Java? So today we will discuss about what is a class. We can say that a class is defined as a collection of objects. Basically, a class is a collection of multiple objects. That objects basically are variables and methods which shares the common properties and characteristics. So here we can say that a class is a collection of objects which shares a common characteristics and properties. And here what are the characteristics we are referring? Characteristics are defined as the behavior. So behavior is determined by the methods of the class. So if we are talking about characteristics, then we are talking about methods. And what are the properties? Properties are basically determined by the attributes. Okay, so indirectly, in a short, what we can call class is defined as a blueprint. Basically, a class is just a blueprint or a template, we can say, that describes the state and behavior of the class. States basically refer to variables, and behavior, which we already discussed, that what is the behavior? Behavior is nothing but methods. Method of an object. Okay, and one point which we need to remember here is that class doesn't occupy any memory. So these are the basic points which we need to remember about the class. In the simple words, we can say that a class is a group of different data types and methods. Data types means we are talking about the variables. So in the short or in a simple words, we can say that class is a group of different data types and methods, or we can say that group of methods. Okay, and what are the different things that a class can contain? A class can contain 4 to 5 different things inside it. A class in Java can contain, first point, what it can contain? It can contain data members. Data members means variables. Second thing, the class can contain method. Class also contains the constructors as well. There are different types of constructors as well, which we are going to discuss later on. And class can also contain a nested class in itself. So we can say that a class can contain a class inside it. So that class which is present inside the class is known as the nested class, which we will discuss later on. And class can also contain interface. So these are the 5 different things which a class can contain inside it. Okay, so this is the basic definitions which we can consider for the class. So now if we talk about the class, what is basically the class? So by taking an example, we can say that suppose if we are creating any document, we are creating any Word document. So whenever we save that Word document, basically we need to store at some location. If we have created that document, then we are going to store that document at particular location, and at that time we are using .docx extension for that one. So whenever we are creating the Word document, what we are doing, we are storing our data inside one of the document which we are saving with the extension of .docx. In the same way, whenever we are creating the PPTs, we are storing our data in the form of PowerPoint slides, and the extension name for that one is the .ppt or .pptx. So in the same way, whenever we are talking about the classes in Java, then what we are doing is that we are creating or storing a group of variables and methods together in the form of class. And what is the extension of that one? So whenever we are creating a class, we will provide the extension as .java. So as we are providing the extension for the Word files for the .docx and PowerPoint files for .ppt, in the same way, for creating the class and storing the data types and variables together in the form of object, we need to create the class and store it with .java extension. So the class in Java has the extension name as .java. Okay. So moving further, suppose we are going to create a class. Let's suppose we are creating one of the class. This is the first class we are going to create. So whenever we will save this file, we will save this file with .java extension. This is the main point which we need to remember as of now. We are going to save the Java files with the extension name as .java. The second point which we are going to discuss is that whenever we are creating a class, then first of all we have to provide the class keyword. This keyword we need to mention at the first. And the second point which comes is the class name. The class name need to be unique for all the classes. So here we can give any of the class name. Suppose we are creating a test class, so I provided the class name as test class. Now what we have to do, we have to provide curly braces. Here I am providing the curly braces. So these curly braces determine the scope of this class. So as we discussed earlier that the class is a collection of variables and methods. A class is a collection of variables and methods. So now what we have to do, this is the class which we have created, and what is the class name here? Test class is the class name here, and the curly braces determine the scope of this class. What it means, that what are the different types of variables and methods, whatever those variables, all these variables need to be created inside these curly braces. This is the scope. So now we have to do all the coding part inside these curly braces only. We can't do the coding outside these curly braces. So this curly braces is the scope of this class. So now suppose we are creating a set of variables and methods inside it. So as of now I am creating just two sample variables. The first variable which I created is the integer. We will discuss data types later on, but this variable is holding the numeric value, and the data type of this variable is the int. So int is the data type for this variable, and it's holding the numeric value. So this is also known as integer. And the second one we are going to use here is float. Float will store the values that are in the decimal place, and it is able to store or hold the values up to 6 decimal points. Okay, so these are the two different variables which we have created. Integer variable, the first one we created is the integer variable. It will hold the numeric value. It holds the numeric value inside it. There is a range for integer as well, which we will discuss later on. And the second variable is the float variable. holds the values having the decimal values. It holds the decimal values inside it. And it's capable to hold up to 6 decimal places, 5 to 6 decimal places. What we are saying with this 5 to 6 decimal places means after the decimal it can hold up to 5 to 6 decimal places only. Here we are giving only one value after the decimal, so it will be able to store this one. And suppose if we are giving more than 5 to 6 decimal places, the value is more than the 5 to 6 values after the decimal. So what will happen? It will store only 6 values and it will leave the rest of the values. It will not throw any error, but what it will do, it will store only 6 values after the decimal and the rest will be neglected. Okay, so these are the two variables which I have created as of now. And now we will create few methods. So in order to create methods, basically what we have to do, we have to provide the return type of the method, and after that we will provide the name of the method. So here I am providing void. Void means this method will not return anything at the end, and the method name I am giving is m1. M1 is the method name. And what void means? Void means that this method will not return anything after the execution of this method. And remember this point, that whenever you are giving the method name, you have to provide circular brackets after that method name. Every time you have to provide the circular brackets at the end. Okay, so now we have to provide the curly braces. What are these curly braces? Curly braces are determining the scope of this method. This is the area which will cover the code which we will write inside this method. Whenever we call this m1 method, whatever we have written inside these curly braces will got executed. Okay, so as of now what I am doing, I am just printing one line on the console inside this method. And what I am going to discuss, what I am going to display, I am just displaying this is the m1 method. Okay, so this is the method which we have created, and these are the two variables. Okay, I am just copying this one and pasting another one. So we will create two different methods inside this, m1 and m2 methods. So as of now what we can say, if we read our points, what are these points? A class is a group of different data types and group of methods. So here you can see that this test class is a group of different data types. We have entered two different data types. One is the integer and another one is the float. And it's a group of methods as well. There are two different methods present inside this class. Okay, so as of now we have created a sample class which is having the name as a test class, which contains two different variables inside it and two methods. Okay, so now what we have to do, whenever we are creating the class inside the notepad or notepad++, then at that time what we have to do, we have to save that class. And now at the time of saving, whenever you are saving the class at any location, it depends basically on you, wherever you want to save that one, you can save it. But when you are saving that class, remember one point. What is that point? You have to save that class with the same name which you have provided for that class. Suppose I have provided this test class as the name while creating this class. So at the time of saving this class, I have to give test class as it is, which we have provided at the time of creation. Okay, so now as I already told, we have to save this class with the extension of .java. So after this test class, I will provide .java as the extension name and I will save this class. Okay, so now you can see that this class is changed into the .java class. and here inside that particular folder I can see that particular class is got created here inside core Java. Here I can see that this class is present. So now what we have to do, after creating any class, what is the basic thing what the Java does here is that, suppose we have created one class inside the Java. This is the class we have created, and what is the name of this class? Test class dot Java. So now Java will not execute this class whenever we will execute the class. Java is not going to execute this class. What Java will do? Java will firstly compile this class and it will convert into dot class file. Dot class file is the file which is understandable by the Java. Java understands the language which is present in the dot class file, and whenever we execute our code, that dot class file got executed every time. So whatever we have written in this dot Java file, it will get compiled first. Okay, so we have to compile this file first. Compile the test class dot Java file. Okay, so after compilation, suppose if the compilation is successful, then what will happen? One more class basically got created, and one more file will get created. What is the name of that file? Basically test class dot class. It will get created with the same name as we have provided for that one, test class, but the extension of that file will get changed. We have created the dot Java file, but after compilation, if the compilation is successful, one dot class file will get created. And after that, whenever we execute our code, after compilation we execute our code, and at the time of execution, what happens? Suppose if we are going to execute our code, if we are going to execute test class, if we are going to execute test class, then test class dot class file is executed by Java, not the dot Java file. So at the time of execution, Java executes the file which is created after the compilation, not the file which we have created. Okay, so compilation need to be done every time whenever we are going to execute our code, because Java will search for dot class file, not dot Java file. Okay, so here we have created this file. This is dot Java file which we have just created. So now what we have to do, we have to first compile this file in order to execute our code. So in order to compile our file, what we have to do, we have to just go to the location where we have saved our .java file, and now from this location we have to open the command prompt. Now in order to compile any file, what we have to do, we have to execute one command, that is java c space file name, which we need to compile, and then we have to provide the extension as well, java c space test class.java. Now execute this statement. If there will be any error, then it will get displayed, and if there is no error, it will display it as a blank. Now it is not displaying anything. It means that file is compiled successfully and there was no error present inside that .java class. No compilation error was there. So if no compilation error is present, then the file will get compiled successfully and one .class file will get created at same particular location. So here you can see that one .class file got created successfully, and this .class file is understandable by .java in order to execute the code. So now if we want to execute our code, then we have to execute this .class file, not the .java file which we have created. Okay, So as of now this file got created successfully, and it means that our code is compiled. So now I will show you something, that suppose if we did any of the error, like we missed any semicolon, or if we missed any brackets, then what will happen if we are going to compile our code. So now as we did the changes in our file, so these changes will not get reflected into the dot class file directly, because the dot class file which we have created is created earlier than the changes which we have did now. That file is created earlier. So now we have did the changes after creating that dot class file. Now we have to again compile that file. Now we have to again compile this file in order to update the changes in the dot class file, because we are doing the changes in .java file, and these will not get reflected directly into the dot class file which is created. This dot class file contains the changes which are done at that time whenever we are compiling the previous code. So after compilation, if we do any other changes inside the .java file, then we have to again compile that particular file. Okay, so now we have did some changes, that we have removed the semicolon. So we have to compile the Java file again. So now we will compile it again. This time it is displaying error. So the error which is getting displayed here is displayed at the compile time. So we can say that this is the compilation error. This is the compilation error which we are getting. And what is that error? This error is getting displayed inside the test class.java file at line number 4. On line number 4 we are getting error. And what is the error? Semicolon is expected, which was missing. At what point this semicolon is missing and expected? It is expected after int a is equals to 20, and this is the arrow which is indicated that here we are expecting the semicolon. So you can see in the code, this is the line number 4 which we are talking about. So line number 4 in the code is this one, and where we are expecting the semicolon, we are expecting the semicolon after this 20. So we have to put this semicolon after 20. Now we again do the changes in the file. Now just save this file and compile the code again. This time again the code got compiled successfully because we have resolved that error. So what I was trying to say, if there is any compilation issue, then that will get displayed at the compile time and your file will not get compiled successfully. It means that .java file will not get compiled, and the .class file which is getting created after compilation, that will not get created. Okay, so here one more point which I can show you is that if suppose we are missing the circular brackets or the curly brackets, then it will also display an error, because these are considered as the compilation issue. So suppose I removed those circular brackets from the M1 method. Now what I will do, I will try to compile this code. Now you can see that we are getting the error. What is that? In the test class.java file at line number 9, what is the expectation? Expectation is the circular bracket open, but what we are getting this curly braces. So at line number 8, or basically line number 9, we are getting at line number 9 curly braces, but what is expected? It is expecting the circular brackets. So here on line number 9 we are getting this circular brackets, but before this circular brackets, what is the expectation? If this is the method, then that need to contain the circular bracket open and close. We can give in the second line as well, but the circular brackets are expected, but we are getting that curly braces, so it is displaying error. And what is that error? Basically, which type of error is that? This is the compilation issue. Okay, so now again we provided the circular brackets, and now we will compile again, so that error will get resolved now. Okay, so we have to compile the file every time whenever we are doing any type of changes in our .java file. So now as our file is compiled successfully, so now we can go for the execution now. As of now, we just compiled our code to check whether any compilation issue is there or not. If there is no compilation error, then .class file will get created successfully, and if there is any error, then that will get displayed on the console as we are seeing here. Okay, now we have to execute our code. In order to execute our code, what I told, at the time of execution, .class file is executed by Java, not .java file. And at the time of execution, we execute in this form. We have to execute test class, not the test Java, test class.java. Neither we are giving test class.java nor we are giving test class.class. Just we have to provide test class, the name of that particular file we have, which we want to execute. We don't have to provide the extension name at the time of execution. Java will automatically pick the class file, whichever is present there. Okay, so now in order to execute the code, what we have to do, again we have to go on console, and now we have to provide the statement Java. This time we will not provide Java C. Java C is the statement for the compilation, but for the execution we provide Java, and then space we will provide the class name which we want to execute. But we will not provide the extension this time. As we already said, we will not provide the extension, and Java will automatically pick. What Java will pick at the execution time? It will pick the .class file for the execution. So now we are executing this test class. What will happen? Test class.class file will be picked from this location in order to execute. Okay, so if we hit enter, this time we will get one more error. But that error is not the compilation error. Compilation is successful here. Okay, now we are executing this one. Okay, as you now you can see there is one error getting displayed. So this error was not displayed at the compile time. File got compiled successfully. What it means that the error which we are getting now is not the compilation error. This is the runtime error. So what is this runtime error? Main method not found in the test class. Please define the main method as public static void main string argument array. Okay, so what is happening here? What is this? I will explain a little bit about this. Suppose you have created any class and you have multiple methods and variables inside that class. There are multiple variables and multiple methods. But at the time of execution, Java will not pick any of these. Java will look for only one single method inside any of the class which is getting executed. So what is that method? That is the predefined method. Basically, the Java always search for the main method inside any class in order to execute that one. So what we can say that at the time of execution, only one single method is executed. And what is that method? That method is public static void main string array argument. So this is the method which is executed at the time of execution. So all the other methods and variables which are present inside the class are not executed at the runtime. It doesn't matter how many methods you have created inside the class, maybe 1, 2 or even the 50 or 100. None of them will be executed. Only one single method will be executed, and that is the main method. And what is the syntax for that one? This is the syntax. We can't change this syntax. If we change this syntax, it will treat it as the normal methods. Normal methods like these methods. It will be treated as these methods. The syntax of this method need to be same. Java basically searches for this one at the time of execution. So it need to be same. Here what we can change only, we can change this reference name only. This is the reference name which we can provide any of that, whichever you want. But rest of the things we can't change. Okay, so this is the same thing which we are getting in the error, public static void main. So now we defined this main method inside the class. This is basically what is this error was. This was the runtime error. runtime error if main method is missing. It will get displayed at the runtime. It will not get displayed at the compile time because there was no compilation error whenever we were compiling that file. Now whenever we execute the code, it will search for the main method only. If that main method is missing at the runtime, then it will display the runtime error. So now the main method is present inside the class. So let me display one line of code inside the main method as well, so that we can check whether the main method is getting executed or not. We will display one line on the console. This system.out.print statement is used to display the output on the console. Whatever we pass in this system.out.print statement, it will get displayed on the console. So here I am passing a string, main method executed successfully. So this will get displayed on the console. And what happens whenever we execute any class inside the Java? First of all, we have to remember one point. The code execution happens line by line in Java. Whenever we execute any of the code, the execution will happen line by line only. So what we can say here, whenever we execute any class, first of all, Java will look for the main method inside that class. If that main method is missing, then it will give us a runtime error. And if the main method is present, then that method will get executed line by line. If there are multiple lines of code inside the main method, then each and every line will be executed one by one in the order in which it is mentioned. Okay, so now if we execute this class, so first of all, before execution, what we have to do, as we did the changes inside .java file, we have to compile this file. Suppose if we forgot to compile, what will happen? These are the changes which we did after the compilation. So the .class file which is present here, it will not contain the updated code. Updated code is missing inside this class. Basically this code is missing inside the .class file. And if we execute this one, suppose if we execute this like this, it will again show us the error, main method is missing, but we have already created this main method. So what we can say is that Java is executing .class file, not the .java file. If Java is picking the .java file, then it will also pick this main method, but Java is picking .class file, and that .class file not contain the updated code. So first of all, what we have to do, we have to compile this file. So we did the compilation again, and there is no error got displayed. It means that file got compiled successfully. Now that .class file will contain the updated code. Now what we have to do, we have to execute our code. Okay. Now you can see that one line of the code is getting displayed on this. So what happens inside this class? Whenever we execute that class, it will search for the main method inside the class. And inside the main method, what happens? It will execute the code line by line. So inside this main method, what we are doing, we are displaying one line of code on the console, and what we are displaying, main method executed successfully. So here it is getting displayed as this, main method executed successfully. Okay, so anyone who is having doubt in order to create the class, please feel free to communicate and provide the comment, so that I will provide the resolution for your queries. Okay, thank you as of now. So in the next tutorial, we will discuss about the data types which are present inside the class. So till that time, take care, bye bye, and please do like, comment, share and subscribe if you like the video. Okay, thank you.